Hello everybody, and per usual, Black Love, Black Pride, and Black Power. Please go ahead and check those egos at the play button, as well as go ahead and, oh, I never say this, make sure you like and subscribe. Like, that's kind of important as well. And share my videos as well. And then also, you have to know yourself, to love your people. And with that, I'm going to jump right in. This is part 2 to the last video I did. This one is about the stigma and the stereotype of being a strong black woman. It really bothers me because black women, especially dark-skinned black women, we just get this horrible rap and people act like it comes from absolutely nowhere, you know. And but when we talk about things like colorism and like light skin privilege and, you know, male privilege and things like that and stuff, everybody wants to go and act like, you know, not act like, everybody wants to go and pull up all these things to not just support but excuse their arguments. But when it comes to the black woman, people act like we don't have this story to tell and there's not a reason why we are the way we are, and that we're just like this out of nowhere. So we're going to talk about this strong black woman thing, and my number one reference is going to be the Willie Lynch letters, because that's something that a lot of people have already read. It's a really simple, short read. It's very easy to get access to. So as far as like fact checking, and just especially for newer people just on this journey and whatnot, you know, this is some information that you can get a hold of and not be overwhelmed with. Okay, now we use the Willie Lynch letter to excuse colorism and to pretend like there's not differences between, you know, like black people and interracial people, this and the third, boo. You know, we use the Willie Lynch letters to excuse, you know, the black male plight and why, you know, we got a lot of inches niggas. A lot of people use the Willie Lynch letters to blame black women for all of the black community's problems, which is absolutely absurd. But now I'm going to use the Willie Lynch letter to show you that we have a story and stuff too, and our stuff doesn't come from nowhere, and, you know, with understanding becomes peace, and also makes things just run smoother when you understand. So this idea of the strong black woman, we didn't just pop up out the cooch, you know, having to be strong, independent black women, okay? And also, we haven't had this problem that just started like with welfare and stuff. People love to talk about, oh, the white man became our this and that and da-da-da-da-da. No, because we've been having these issues before that as well. Let's take it back to slavery, you know? Because we know pre-colonial relationships, pre-colonial African relationships, women were able to be, us being strong, us being, you know, authoritarians and this and the third, that was not a foreign concept, you know, and egos were checked at the door. So they're like, men knew how to coincide with powerful, strong women. Now, we get to the Americas and slavery is happening and whatnot. Black women were put in a very difficult position. They would sit there and literally make the whole plantation, especially the women, watch while they castrated our men, while they anally raped our men, while they tarred and feathered them, while they cut off their limbs, while they tied them to horses and beat them, while they hung them. They made us watch that shit over and over and over and over again. Black women had to see their men incapable of defending themselves, and majority of the time these black men that were being tortured and mutilated this and the third, they were not even bothering to fight back. You know, at certain points they would just stop fighting back. You know, it shouldn't be that easy to take you and be able to do those things to you. It should be difficult as fuck, you know. And like a lot, what they started out doing was taking the biggest, strongest one, you know, and then later on, like if they seen some that were getting more rebellious, they take the most rebellious ones. But sometimes the most rebellious isn't the biggest and strongest. We see, I know too many unnecessarily large ass niggas running around here and never had to scrap a day in their life, punk as fuck, etc., etc. Like, they exist, you know. But that visual of seeing that kind of a black man who looks powerful and whatnot, and seeing him destroyed like that, that's going to do something to you psychologically. And then on top of that, you know, we had our own relationships going on the plantation, and at any moment in time, if master liked you or one of master's friends requested you, you know, it's like you don't even have a husband. You know, I mean, anybody who's seen Birth of a Nation knows that scene where Gabrielle Union got selected by one of the master's friends to go basically be a bed warmer, and, you know, her husband ain't do shit about it. He cried and he begged master, please, not my wife, but he ain't really do shit. Now imagine you got a small house You know, maybe maximum being generous, 13 white people. And you got a plantation of at least 100 niggas. And you mean to tell me all he got to do is point and say, I want her, and all you gonna do about it is cry and beg? And all the niggas on this plantation ain't on their warrior shit with you to go and make sure this shit doesn't happen? Fuck do you mean? You guys, this is not throwing salt on black men. This is stating historical facts. Black men were not able to protect black women. Oftentimes they had the men watch while they raped their sisters, their mothers, their wives, their girlfriends, or whatever, you know? And you're sitting here, you're watching this shit and ain't doing shit about it, you know? And yes, in some cases, you know, there were people who were restrained or whatnot, you know, because nigga will fight, but they already had you tied up before they made you watch that. And in other cases, you know, the man's too afraid to touch the man doing that to his wife, but he's just sitting there begging and pleading and crying and shit. And then you gotta, you know, afterwards, you as a woman, you feel like absolute shit. And then your man got the nerve to feel some type of way every time he look at you or don't want to touch you and shit because he couldn't protect you and he didn't keep you out of that situation, you know? So of course, with stuff like this idea that black women had to be strong for ourselves, this is going to develop. It's going to begin to arise because our men are not able to protect us. Our men are not able to provide from us. Like, we've been being provided for by masters since we hopped on the plantation. So I don't want to hear shit about a welfare, a county, or nothing, because since we first got here, our men have not been able to protect and provide for us as a collective whole. We do have our Nat Turners out there. We do have our Gullah Warriors and stuff out there. But as a collective whole, it was the weak niggas surviving. Let's be real, it was. It was the ones who were, oh yes, a master, go ahead, you know, submit, look down, just follow directions and instructions to make life as easy as possible. Those were the ones surviving. And it was us warriors, us revolutionaries, us not taking this bullshit. We was the ones getting killed off. We was the ones, you know, getting outbred by the punks and shit. We was the ones getting turned in by the ain't shit people, you know. So that's just one reason to realize that the strong black woman idea, this whole thing that we had to be independent and strong for ourselves, didn't come from nowhere. It was a necessity for survival. Then we can fast forward a little bit. We can fast forward it to, let's even just say the civil rights movement. Everyone wants to talk about how the civil rights movement failed because the black women went off into feminism. Bull fucking shit. Okay, that's not the whole truth, and it's not holistic, and we know this. Okay, first off, yes, a lot of black women did join the feminist movement, which did weaken the civil rights movement. But first off, our men were already marching us in the wrong direction. First off, we were marching. Y'all, Dr. King is one of the biggest race traitors to ever hit African people. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. How are you going to sit there and send black women and children out there to get brutalized for no reason but to be able to lay up with and mix with and be around Europeans? And we're not going to sit here and pretend like Martin Luther King, I'm talking about Martin Luther King, if I said Malcolm X, my bad. We're not going to sit here and pretend like Martin Luther King did not have a thing for white women. In fact, he said one of his first loves was a white woman or some shit like that. And then on top of that, when he was caught up with all them prostitutes and hookers, all of them were the highest of yellow that he could find. Let's be real. But you've got black women out there marching, getting brutalized, tormented, tortured, and whatnot. We were following y'all though. We were following black men. We were sticking with you, and we were marching nowhere. But for most of y'all's idea subconsciously that being next to the white man is how you really gonna get freedom or make progress or be worth something, you know. So of course, a lot of black women who tried to join like the woman who started SNCC, you know, I forgot what it stands for, but it was basically college kids. It was youth, college youth, you know, about my age and whatnot, and it was black women who the SCLC wasn't really fucking with, who the NAACP wasn't really fucking with. They would not give these women, especially black women, especially dark-skinned black women, they would not give us, you know, roles and positions, even though we come in with the real shit, with the ideas, with the this and the that, and we're very capable and we could really help, We're getting pushed to the back burner, told to be quiet and just follow them in to nowhere. So of course, black women started looking for other avenues to maintain some kind of justice, or to get some kind of justice, or make some kind of a move, you know, really help us progress. and they started looking for other options because our men were not providing us those options. You're marching us to the middle of nowhere. You've marched us 3,000 years backwards, making my job today, 2017, much harder and whatnot. Most of you guys had hidden agendas. You didn't really want nothing much to do with this, and your whole objective was to get close to master as a collective whole. Not everybody, not everything. We still had things like the Deacon of Defense. You know, the NOI got their little ain't shit parts too, but they also have some very good foundational things as an organization separate from the religion that are really fuck withable. But as a general, the mainstream civil rights movement was holistically some fuck shit, and a lot of black women are like, I can't follow this, you know. And also, we did have a problem with our men during the civil rights era. It was during segregation that black men and women were the closest, that we had marriages and families. Divorce rates were extremely low. You know, we had our own economic systems. It was during segregation that it happened. But niggas started pushing for integration. That's when our problems became with our men, because our men started to want to be like the white man. Our men started following the white man. Our men started fighting to get close to and next to and be butt buddies with the white man. So a lot of our black men were acting like white men in black skin, and that is going to be problematic for a black woman who is not trying to be with the white man. I'm not saying feminism was the answer. I'm saying I understand why it appealed to a lot of black women, and all the fuck shit going on towards black women, especially dark-skinned black women in the civil rights era, the mainstream civil rights movement. Yeah, it made it real easy to be over the bullshit, okay? So again, we have black women having to fend for ourselves because our men were only worried about themselves, and they just needed us to support their agenda, their selfish agenda, many of them with hidden agendas, to just be able to mix up with, be close with, and do that whole interracial bullshit. Okay. Then we can go post civil rights era to, I guess, the Black Power era. And anybody who knows anything legit about the Black Panthers, there's some good things, just like with most black mainstream organizations. They had their strong points and they had their weak points. In the Black Powers weak, or no, sorry, the Black Panthers' weak points is, one, they were a socialist party, not a which is a political party, and they were not a Black Power organization. And two, they had that thing for them white women all up and through there, dark-skinned black women. Even though we were the force behind and the momentum behind it, you know, we couldn't even be selected to represent ourselves. You know, they had women like Assata Shakur, who was married to a white woman, came up to my old university to give a speech, you know, and I'm like, what the entire fuck, you know? They had Angela, or is it, her name is it something Cleaver, or no, it's something Diane something. I think Diane Cleaver. I'm not sure. I think her name is Diane though. That other pale woman who people often mistake for her for, what is her name? Not so sure. People always mistake her for Angela Davis, but they're not the same person. They're two different high yellow people. But, you know, they hired too. But the women behind the Black Panther movement that were handing out lunches, that were behind this program, behind this and that, the third, they looked like me. But the women who got to represent us did not. You know, we're not going to pretend like Martin Luther King didn't have Rosa Parks be the face of that whole sitting on the bus thing, because of the fact that she was a fairly light-skinned, you know, older woman, when the original woman who was disrespected and you know, tried to get thrown off a bus and refused to move was a dark-skinned 16-year-old pregnant girl. You know, come on now, like, and we're gonna pretend like colorism isn't a real thing, and we're gonna pretend like black women just imagined these issues that we have with following and submitting to, you know, black men, and like this stuff came from nowhere, on why a lot of us are not submissive or not docile, and you know, we don't want to follow and stuff. You can't sit there and offer to lead me to nowhere. I promise you, any black woman who you treat right is gonna be every woman to you, but you gotta treat her right. You gotta make sure that your game plan is on point, and you gotta make sure you ain't with no fuck shit. I'm not the only one who's this way. I know too many sisters, like all of my sisters, biological and just off of the strength of being a part of the African diaspora. We have no problem making our man feel like the only man in the world. We will cater to you. We will, you know, do everything you need us to do. And on top of that, we're helpful, we're efficient, we're smart, we're this and that. We got a lot to bring to the table. We just ain't trying to bring that shit to somebody who ain't worth it. Let's just be real about it. Like, a lot of men out there are not doing what they need to do to make us be the woman we need to be. We have to be strong, independent women, because for the past, what, 500-600 years, our men have not been able to be strong, dependable men. If you are not dependable, I cannot depend on you. If I cannot depend on you, I have to be independent. Now, I'm not talking about depend on you as in you completely take care of me. Like, my dad raised me like I should be able to take care of myself, but I should not have to take care of myself. There's a difference between needing to and having to. So long as I'm single and solo and whatnot, I should be able to take care of myself, absolutely. Now, if I'm with a man, I should still be able to take care of myself, but I should not have to. If anything happens to where things like go left or things aren't going as well or whatever the case may be, I should be able to know that my man is reliable and dependable and will make sure that I'm okay. You know, I should know that, you know, if my man wants me to cook his meal, he better bring some groceries up in this bitch, you know. I should know that, you know, like even things like car maintenance and whatnot. You know, you want to be the man so bad, you want me to be able to depend on you, but half these niggas out here wanting a woman to submit and be docile and depend on them and follow them, and never pay for their cars to be oil changed, and never put no gas in their tanks, you know, and never put a food in their fridge, and you know, you ain't doing shit worth me being all that to and for you. So of course, a lot of the brothers that I know, I'm sitting here, how am I the only one who know how to jump a car? How am I the only one who know what a car fucking up sounds like? How am I the only one who can put oil and transmission fluid in this shit? And I'm not even super duper car savvy. But I got these homeboys who are kind of not helpful in that department. You know, if something breaks in my room, like with carpentry and plumbing construction, how am I the one who know how to do all this shit, but I know a bunch of brothers who don't? You see, y'all see what I'm saying here? Like, give me a reason to be dependent, or to be dependent on you. Give me a reason to not have to be the strong, independent, gotta protect myself, gotta look out for me woman. If you can't give me a reason not to be that, you can't expect me not to be that. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Do better. Do better. Because when black men do better, black women can be who we need to be for you. But don't, the days of sisters being every woman for dudes who ain't worth the time. Because you know who doesn't complain about black women not being this and that and the third? Real dudes who's really handling their business as a man. Brothers who are making sure that they're being dependable and they're looking out and taking care of their women. You don't hear them complaining about black women. The only men you can hear complain about that, from my experience, has been the men out there who ain't worth a damn. And on that note, you're not even worth talking to in the first place. You know, I know it's getting darker, y'all. You know, I know I'm on the darker side. I'm gonna turn on the light in my next video, but I'm gonna wrap that up for now. This one's gonna continue. So, you know, I get a little bit of passionate sometimes, but you're gonna be alright. Per usual, black love, black pride, and black power. You have to know yourself, to love yourself, to love your people. Check that you go at the play button and cancel that subscription to white supremacy, and really help me out, y'all, because y'all know I'm spitting real shit. And don't let the fact that I have dark skin and a vagina be the reason why you don't want to hear shit I have to say, because I know that's why people be tripping sometimes. But whatever though, I'm gonna just keeping it 100. All right, anyway, love y'all, fam. Peace.